I'll give them this. They came close, but the Pistons end the month of November with not a single win in this month. 16 straight losses. Close but no cigar.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. The Pistons came close. They played really hard. You know, they played well. They played well for the most part. But they still were not able to crack this losing streak as they end the month of November with not a single win and have now lost 16 straight games. We're going to talk about Jaden Ivey today. We're going to talk about Monty's decision to change the starting lineup and why I believe he's choosing the wrong player to keep taking out of the lineup. But I want to talk about the game against the Knicks itself first. So entering this game against the Knicks, right before tip-off, we found out that Monty Williams was changing the starting lineup. And based off the last game, or the last presser, I should say, after the last game, when Monty said he needs to get more spacing around Cade, I thought he was probably thinking about putting Isaiah Livers in for Isaiah Stewart or Ausar Thompson. And Isaiah Livers did join the starting lineup. He did join it. He did not replace Isaiah Stewart. He replaced Ausar Thompson. But there was another change to the starting lineup. Killian Hayes came back into the starting lineup for Jaden Ivey. So the starting lineup was Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, and Isaiah Livers. And I know that just pissed off so many of Pistons fans. And I want to make this clear. I want Jaden Ivey to be starting. I'd like to see Jaden Ivey start next to Cade Cunningham. I would. And when this starting lineup was announced, I was not happy. Pistons fans were not happy. Definitely had a lot of questions about what was going on, but it was like, you know what? Let's see what happens. And they played fine. I thought they played well, to be honest. I thought they played a fine game. Obviously, they lost. I'm not taking too many positives from. We're going to try to take some positives from this because it was a fun game. But I want the main point to still be there. Pressure should still be on this front office. Pressure should still be on this ownership. They've lost 16 straight games. Changes need to happen. A hard-fought game that ends in a loss doesn't change any of that. Changes need to happen. You're at 16 straight losses. I don't know when they're going to win a game again. Change needs to happen. Pressure should still be on the front office and ownership. With that said, Cade looked really good tonight. Really good tonight. He had 31 points, 8 assists, shot 60% from the field, 4 of 9 from deep, got to the free throw line 4 times, was a +1 tonight. Played really, really well. And you saw the impact of just playing with a little bit of spacing had for Cade. Playing with Isaiah Livers instead of Ausar Thompson, who, you know, if you look at the very first play, I saw some people tweet this out. The very first play from the Lakers game, the Pistons ran some kind of action with Cade coming off a pin down from Isaiah Stewart, wrapping around a DHO from Jalen Duren at the high post, and kind of curling into, you know, a chance to hit a mid-range or drive to the rim and take one dribble and kind of lay it up, whatever. And as he came off that screen, D'Angelo Russell was just sitting in the paint because Ausar Thompson was one pass away in the corner. And that was the kind of spacing you were dealing with in the starting lineup. So I think you saw the impact of replacing Ausar Thompson with a shooter. Now, I think Ausar Thompson, if it was me, should stay in the starting lineup because he has a bigger impact on the team's future to where you need to find a way to make that work with Cade. But nonetheless, you saw the impact of having spacing. Cade had a fantastic game. He had space to do stuff. He looked really good. He looked great. And he didn't just play minutes with just, Isaiah Livers out there. They experimented with quite a few lineups today in this Knicks game. And a lineup that I was a real big fan of. We saw Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, Jane Ivey, Isaiah Livers, and Jalen Duren. I thought that lineup looked really good. I really liked the idea of playing those three guards together. They looked really nice on the floor. So did Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, and Marcus Sasser. I thought they looked really good together as well. Just playing Cade with other spacers, with spacing on the floor, helps him a ton. And the biggest takeaway from this game, by far, should be the Pistons need to continue to play Cade off ball and on ball. Today was by far the most we've seen Cade played off ball in quite some time. And he looked absolutely fantastic. Cutting to the basket, getting layups, hitting catch and shoot threes, attacking closeouts. He was showcasing his versatility offensively that everyone talked about coming out of college, that the Pistons just have not been able to show because they don't have, either one, they don't have the personnel, or two, they just haven't tried it. And you guys remember at the beginning of the year, when they decided to start Killian Hayes, yes, everyone wanted Ivy to start, but my idea of it was, okay, if they're starting Killian, it has to be because they want Cade to play a little bit off ball, and they want Killian kind of setting the offense up and getting Cade some open looks. And we didn't see that at all at the beginning of the year. So I was kind of confused about why are you starting Killian then? What's the point of even starting him then? Because that's like his whole purpose. That's like his biggest positive. But in this game, you saw that. Killian was running the offense at the start of this game, and it looked really good. Cade looked absolutely fantastic playing off of Killian and playing off ball and getting open catch and shoot threes and cutting to the basket and attacking closeouts and all that stuff. He still had the ball in his hands a lot, yeah. But he wasn't having it at the rate of OKC Thunder, Russell Westbrook after KD left. Like, that responsibility he's had all year, he didn't have that tonight. He still had the ball, but it was less. He was able to relax, and he played 37 minutes in this game, but he wasn't gassed in the fourth quarter because he wasn't asked to carry literally everything the entire game. He was actually able to play well, play fine late in the game. So I think this is the recipe for success for the Detroit Pistons. Very clearly, they need whoever it is. Everyone wants Ivy to start. I'm not saying start Killian Hayes. Whoever the guard is with Cade in the starting lineup, whether it is Killian Hayes, whether it's Jane Ivey, the recipe needs to be, yes, Cade can have the ball in his hands a lot. He should be. He's your best player. But he also needs to play off ball a lot too. That was, if we go all the way back to before his draft class, that was literally one of the most positive things about Cade, was that he can play with anybody because of his ability to play off ball. And we just haven't gotten to see that at all. And tonight he did that, and he looked absolutely fantastic. I think that is by far the biggest takeaway of this game. Get Cade some more off ball looks. I think you're going to continue to see it a lot moving forward. Sadly, I'm going to assume that it's not going to be with Jane Ivey. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm not the coach. I want Ivy to start too, but it looks very clear to me it's probably not going to be Ivy. And to kind of back this up, Monty Williams after the game said on Marcus Sasser and Killian Hayes, he said he and Killian right now, they've been the top compliments to Cade. Not only can those guys get us organized, but they can knock down shots, and they're both pretty good defenders on ball and off ball. Sass is just a fighter. He also said the reason to start Killian Hayes over Jane Ivey was to get Cade Cunningham off the ball more, and said he likes how Hayes can get the team organized. Look, everyone wants Ivy to start, but I think at this point it's probably clear it's not going to happen. I don't think it's probably going to happen. And look, I want to see Ivy start. But again, whoever the guard is next to Cade, whoever Cade's playing with, as long as they can set the table and bring some kind of scoring punch while being able to set Cade up to where he doesn't have to carry the on-ball load the entirety of the game, I'm cool with at that point. Because I think it's going to lead to more close games like this, and I think it's going to eventually lead to some wins for the Pistons if they can get their best player some games like this. I think this would be the recipe for success. This is how the Pistons should play around Cade while he develops. If at some point in the future he becomes, great enough on ball and stamina-wise where he can handle all of it at once, I mean, I guess you can try to up the volume. But even then, just get him some off-ball looks, man. He looked absolutely fantastic tonight. Absolutely fantastic. So I think you're probably going to see Killian Hayes in the starting lineup next to Cade moving forward. But again, for the final time, whether it's Killian Hayes or Jane Ivey, just play Cade off ball more. And like you did tonight, I think everything will be fine. Tough game. Look, this one hurt because they were in a position to win this game again. They had to lead in the fourth quarter. It was a really tough, hard-fought game. And, it is what it is. The Knicks are clearly a better team. And if the Pistons weren't on a 16-game losing streak, this would be one of those games when you're like, well, they lost, but this was a really nice game to see for them fight against the New York Knicks, a team that's going to be pretty good in the East. But because, like I told you guys on multiple podcasts last week and 2 weeks ago, they lost that benefit of the doubt. They lost that ability to be able to say that because they weren't able to handle their stuff against the Trailblazers, against the Bucks without Giannis with the lead in the fourth quarter. Like, all those games, if they would have handled that business, then we would be able to take more positives away from games like this. But now you're in a position where we can't do that, and we should not do it. So it is what it is. Tough game. Losing streak continues, but I think you found the recipe for success moving forward. You have to get some usage out of your other players and give Cade a break while he's still on the floor because he's still able to be effective and a scorer on the floor without the ball in his hands all the time. So really loved what I saw from that. Let me know what you guys thought, though, about playing Cade more off ball, the new starting lineup, how they look tonight. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. When we come back, Jay and Ivy, man, we got to talk about it. At the beginning of the year, I was avoiding having this talk. I wanted to see more of a sample size. I didn't agree with having this talk. But, I think it's reasonable enough to ask this question now. I do think so. I think it's reasonable enough to ask this question now. You guys will find out what the question is when we come back. But first, I've got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, FanDuel Sportsbook. As the weather gets colder, and trust me, it's absolutely freezing in Michigan. Like, Metro Detroit area, I'm like every day I'm waking up having to scratch off ice. It's crazy cold. However, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 moneyline winning bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. And I tell you guys this all the time. A few years ago when betting became legal in Michigan, I was not experienced. I didn't know anything about it. I was looking through all the different apps to try to figure out, what's the most self-explanatory one? What's the best one out there? What's going to help me the most understand what I'm doing out there? And FanDuel was it. FanDuel has been fantastic to me for years now. I absolutely love FanDuel. It's very self-explanatory. You can do all kinds of stuff on there. Again, like spreads, player props, over-unders, same-game parlays, futures. You can do all kinds of stuff across so many different sports. And again, it's self-explanatory. So whether you're experienced or not, FanDuel is it for you. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season and get started with the NBA season. That's with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Look, guys, this is a conversation that I'm sure you guys do not want to have. I'm sure you guys don't want this to be a conversation we have to have, but I think we're at a point where this is a reasonable discussion to have now. After that quote I read to you guys earlier from Monty Williams, talking about Killian Hayes and Marcus Sasser complimenting, he thinks they're the best compliment to Cade Cunningham. After seeing him say that, and after the actions he's shown, combined with his words, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. On November 30th, at 11:24 p.m., I am questioning Jay and Ivy's future with the Detroit Pistons. Now, I am not going to come on here and say they are for sure trading him. I am not going to come on here and say that his future is for sure over with the Detroit Pistons. However, at the very least, I think you very clearly can wonder or ask the question, is something up with his future in Detroit, and is he going to be traded soon? Look, I was kind of seeing this in the beginning of the year, and I've heard some things, but I wanted to give a larger sample size, and just the actions of the team combined with the words from their head coach, it makes me believe that there is a clear pecking order here with the Detroit Pistons. I think it's obviously Cade. I think Asar, Duren, and then I think there's a drop-off to Jay and Ivy. Now, look, I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm not saying that's how I have it. I'm saying analyzing what we're hearing from Monty Williams, analyze what we're seeing from Monty Williams, combined with some of the things I've heard over the last month and a half, 2 months. I'm not saying I think they're done with Jaden Ivey. I'm not saying that I think they're actively shopping him. I just think I can come away with my best educated guess based off the information available to me that he's probably not valued, or maybe valued is not the right word. He's not as high on the priority list as maybe Pistons fans would like him to be, as maybe Pistons fans believe he should be. And I think you're kind of seeing that play out, and it's really making me think that we may see him traded for a star wing to play with Cade and Duren and Asar. I think that I'm not 100% sure it's going to happen. I'm not betting money it's happening. I simply think that is something that I think at the beginning of the year, people saying it, I thought they were crazy. You got to give more of a sample size, et cetera, et cetera. If someone were to say that to me now, I'd be like, yeah, I can see it. I think it could happen. I think it probably will happen. Like that. Like that's where we're at now. That's where we're at now. And remember, 2 weeks ago, I believe I told you guys that my ears, my eyebrows raised and my ears were perked. I was listening and I was paying attention to the Ivy situation. I told you guys, I believe 2 weeks ago, because of something Monty said after the game. It was when they decided to go more scoring in the fourth quarter, if you guys remember. I forget what game it was, but they went for more scoring, more offense in the fourth quarter. And Ivy wasn't the person he went with to get more offense. That's when I told you guys, okay, I'm not clicking the red button. I'm not clicking the alarm, but I am looking over at it. I'm looking over at it. I'm like, okay, it's there. It's there. I just need to know it's there. Where is it? Okay, there it is right there. That's where I was after that. And now a few weeks later, I do think, it's possible. Because, look, Ivy, it's not even like Ivy's played bad this year. 50% from the floor, 35% from deep. Over the last few games, him as a starter, he's played well. I mean, at least offensively, I think he's been, better defensively. But 17 against Denver, 25 against Indiana, 15 against Washington on 50% shooting. Had a really, really rough game against LA. But I think almost the entire team had a really, really rough game against LA. I'm not sitting here making excuses for Ivy with some of his, his defensive deficiencies. But he's been good offensively. And all last year, you saw him improve every month. You saw him get better as the year went on. You saw him get better. This year, I feel like you look at him and you see that he carries himself with a more mature, energy. He acts more mature on the floor. You don't see him losing his mind on refs all the time. You don't see him losing his mind on his teammates all the time. I feel like, and he's gotten this last episode we talked about how much better he is finishing around the rim this year. That's why he's been so efficient. And his per 100 numbers, how good those look. How good his per 36 numbers look. Because of how little his minutes are, his box score numbers aren't going to look great. But he literally looks like he's improved a ton this year. Offensively, that is. I'm not going to speak to his defense. It's not good. I think it might be a little better, but whatever. If Monty doesn't feel like his defense is good enough, I'm not going to push back on that. But offensively, scoring-wise, I mean, I think he's showing you all the ability to be a 3-level scorer. And, he's gotten better. That's the thing. The fact that he's gotten better, he's finishing at the rim better, his attitude is much better. You guys know this. Last year, I wasn't cool with the fact that he always lost it on his teammates. He was very visibly annoyed with teammates or mad at teammates or mad at refs every time. Didn't get back on defense. I didn't like that stuff last year. He hasn't done that at all this year. I can't think of one time he's done that this year. So I seriously think that everything you could have asked from Ivy, he's trying to do, along with getting better as an offensive player, along with getting better as a shooter, along with getting better as a finisher. And yet, despite that, in this game, after having a good stretch of games starting-wise, in this game, he only plays 12 minutes. He didn't play the entirety of the first quarter. He was the 11th man brought into the game. He didn't play the entire third. He got brought in, I think it was midway through the fourth. He only got 2 shots up. I completely agree with everybody that Ivy looks better this year. I completely agree that everything you want Ivy to improve on, it looks like he has improved on and tried to change and try to get better at. He wants to be good at basketball. He wants to be great at basketball. And along with last year, he improved every month, got better from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Like, I'm completely aware of how good Jaden Ivey is, at least offensively, and how good of a prospect he is. But at some point, if all of this is happening and he's doing all those good things, and despite that, he's being the 11th person brought off the bench, he's the 11th man, he's getting 12 minutes after playing how he's played, and combined with Monty's comments after the game, man, I don't know, man. I think it's pretty clear. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I think it's pretty clear that I don't know if Jaden Ivey's future is with Detroit. And, let me make this clear, too. Like, a few episodes ago, I said, maybe for the Pistons to take the next step, they have to do something like the Kings did. People, were furious when the Kings trade Tyrese Halliburton. And they said the Kings would forever regret it. And now it looks like a win-win trade for both teams. Kings are seeing the most success they've ever, or I'd say have seen in over 20 years, whenever the last, when Chris Webber was on the team. I think it was like 20 years ago exactly. Most success since then. They're a really damn great team in the West. Should have went to the second round last year. Their franchise player took the next step. Domantas Sabonis has been great for them. Like, Sacramento loves everything that came from that trade. And Indiana got their guy, and he looks great over there. I said a few episodes ago that may be what has to happen with Detroit. And fans are going to hate it. They're not going to like seeing their guy leave. And I wasn't even saying it had to be Ivy. And I wasn't specifying Ivy. I just meant one of the core four probably need to be traded at some point to go get somebody. And it's going to be something like the Halliburton situation. When the guy you trade probably is going to be good somewhere. Great. They're probably going to go on to be great. You just have to hope the guy you're getting back is the kind of guy that, one, is going to be great, or two, is going to help take the next team or this team to the next level and help take your younger players to the next level. And I think it's looking more and more like that's going to be Jaden Ivey. And again, I'm not saying I agree with it. Look, I want Ivey to play more. I think he's deserved it. He's gotten better. But listen, man, I don't know how you can look at the actions of the coach, the words from the coach, talking about Ivey, and then also talking about other guards on the team that he thinks fits better with the franchise player, Cade. Like that comment to me today, that was it. That was what pushed me to I'm not going to be surprised if they end up moving on from Ivey for a star. Like, if they try and move Ivey for Lauri Markkanen or something. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. And when you come out and say, when Jaden Ivey's a guard that a lot of people believe would fit next to Cade, and then you come out after this game against the Knicks and say, yeah, I think Killian and Sasser actually are the best complement to Cade. Not, that to me, it's not literally the nail in the coffin to me, but damn, it's pretty close to me. Like, pretty damn close. So, I don't know, man. It's tough because again, I'm not 100% slamming the door shut in Ivey's future with the Pistons. I'm not doing that at all. I'm simply saying I'm more and more seeing the future of Ivey being moved. And if that's the case, if that's what happens, I'm just hoping it is exactly like the Kings trade, where Ivey goes on and is great wherever he goes, and then whatever person the Pistons bring back is great as well and helps take this team to the next level, and it's a win-win trade. If that is what happens, I just hope that's what ends up happening. So, let me know what you guys think, man. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I know you guys are going to be very, very heated about this one. I don't blame you guys at all. Don't blame you guys at all. It is a little confusing. It is a little confusing, but hey, they get paid millions of dollars. They know more than us. Maybe we're not seeing it. Maybe we're not seeing it, but it is what it is. When we come back, despite everything we just talked about with Ivey, I want to say that I think Monty is benching the wrong player. I don't think it should be Ivey that keeps getting benched from the starting lineup. I don't think it should be Killian Hayes that keeps getting benched from the starting lineup. Or Asar Thompson. They're benching the wrong player. We'll talk about who that is when we come back. But first, I've got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, Gametime. Now, when it comes to buying tickets for any kind of sporting event, comedy event, music event, theater event, anything like that, people like me have it the worst. Because I'm a procrastinator, and I wait to literally the last second to do literally anything, especially when it comes to buying tickets. And a lot of times, that bites me in the behind. I end up with the worst tickets possible, a bad deal, etc., etc. However, with Gametime, saves me. It's perfect for procrastinators like me because they have last-minute tickets, and heck, tickets even after the event starts, and they have last-minute deals all the way up until the start of the event. Gametime absolutely saves people like me, and it's why it's my favorite option to go to when I'm looking at going to a sporting event or a music event, a concert, a comedy session, a theater event. Favorite app to use, Gametime. Again, not only do you get last-minute tickets if you want to procrastinate, you also get great deals, last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, all of that. And one of the best things about it as well is that if you buy your tickets, you don't have to wait till you get to the arena or get to your venue to find out, okay, what's my seat look like? No, you can see right from the app what your seat looks like before you purchase the tickets. And along with that, another issue I have with buying tickets, I have to go through my email, find it, and then have to show it. No, with Gametime, you don't have to go digging through your email. It's 2 taps right there. You're set on the app. Perfect for you. Gametime, perfect. It's amazing. If you want to go get tickets, don't go anywhere else. Go to Gametime. It's the best place possible. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase, which makes it even better, obviously. So terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed with Gametime. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That is another great way to support the podcast. So, listen, man. The Pistons are are benching the wrong player. They are simply benching the wrong player. They need to bring Isaiah Stewart off the bench. It shouldn't be Jaden Ivey that keeps getting taken out the starting lineup, or even Killian Hayes that keeps getting taken out the starting lineup, or Asar Thompson that keeps getting taken out the starting lineup. The one dude they just won't take out the starting lineup, it needs to be Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart is a fan favorite. Look, I understand everyone loves him, okay? Heart and soul, I hear it. He is simply not a starting power forward. He's not a starting power forward, and he's actively hurting the team offensively. And it's rough, man. It's rough. The dude, look, man, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice with this, but offensively, he's not a good finisher on the rim. We have now 3 straight years of him not being a good finisher on the rim. The last 10 games, he is shooting 32% from 3. And it's not on a variety of different type of threes. It's not on, movement threes or contested threes or pick and pop threes. All of his threes are coming on wide open catch and shoot threes. All of them wide open. He's not taking contested threes. He's not taking any tough threes. All of them are wide open threes because the defense is sagging off of him and begging the Pistons to keep kicking it out to him and keep coming off of Cade to give Isaiah Stewart the shot. And at the beginning of the year when he's shooting like 46%, it's hard to argue against, like, okay, well, I mean, if he's going to hit 46%, I guess you kind of live with it, I guess. He's kind of making the defense pay for it, so you live with it. But that wasn't going to stay the same. That wasn't going to stay around there. That was lunacy. And over the last 10 games, he's down to 32%. And when you can't, I'm just going to be honest here, when you can't bring anything else offensively, when you can't set screens, when you can't operate in the DHO, when you're not a good passer, when you're not a good dribbler, when you're not a good finisher, when you can't really attack closeouts, when you can't do anything really offensively besides catch and shoot at 32%, you are killing the offense. Isaiah Stewart's killing the offense. Let me give you guys 2 parts of this game that really showcased this issue. With 6 minutes left in the second quarter, the Pistons had one on the run. They were playing really well to start the second quarter. Cade Cunningham was playing well. Killian Hayes had started playing well. Isaiah Livers had just hit a 3. They had cut the lead down to 3. Then they brought Isaiah Stewart in for Jaden Ivey. That was when we saw the 3-guard lineup play. They were playing really well. They cut the lead down to 3. They brought in Isaiah Stewart for Jaden Ivey. And less than 2 minutes later, the Pistons were down by 13. And the possessions went like this. A missed step-back 3 from Cade, an Isaiah Stewart turnover, a Cade Cunningham turnover, and another offensive turnover. That was all their possessions, and they found themselves down by 13 less than 2 minutes later. Less than 2 minutes later, that's what would have happened. So, the spacing, the problem with Stu is the spacing, and he doesn't bring anything else offensively. And then if you go to skip to the fourth quarter, and it's just one play. I'm not blaming the entire game on Isaiah Stewart. That's not what I'm doing at all. What I'm pointing out is this. I want to get the exact time. With the Pistons down by 5, 2.5 minutes left. Cade Cunningham drove along the right wing, or he was on the right wing. He drove, beat I believe it was Dante DiVincenzo, and forced the help one pass away from Isaiah Stewart's defender. They completely helped down from Cade, and Cade immediately kicked it out to Isaiah Stewart, one pass away in that strong side corner. Stu shoots it, he misses it. Knicks come down, Julius Randle, fadeaway jumper, extends the lead, and now you're at minute and a half. You find yourself down multiple possessions, and it's just like, that was a 5-point swing. And in those situations, those situations just pop, and it kills. Because one, if you have a better shooter there, maybe they hit that shot. Or two, if you have a better shooter there, they don't help off of Cade. And now Cade gets all the way to the basket now. And he's able to get the layup like we had seen for so many parts of the night. So, look, man, Isaiah Stewart, I understand he brings stuff defensively, but he doesn't bring anything nearly enough offensively to continue starting him. It's quite clear at this point he's not a power forward. He doesn't do anything else besides catch and shoot threes at a high enough clip at all to be a power forward. Power forwards nowadays are required to do playmaking, to be able to dribble, to get to the rim. Like, they do all kinds of stuff now. Power forwards are basically wings now, and Stu doesn't have any of those things. He is a backup 5 that has some floor spacing, and you'd like to try to run 5 out with him as a backup 5, and you survive with him switching defensively. Like, that's what his role is, and he'd be fine in that role. He'd be fine in that 20-minute per game role off the bench. But him trying to play power forward and be that starting power forward, it's killing the Pistons. You want to make a change in the starting lineup, he's the one that should be getting made, not all these other moves. So that's where I'm at with it. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter how you feel about that. That's all I've got for you guys today, man. 16 straight games. Not great at all, but, nothing we can do about it. Hopefully at least the games watching are competitive like this. It makes the watching experience at least a little bit better, I guess. But, all right, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Till next time, peace out.